For almost 2 years, Russia thought one part of its war economy was safe, far from the front lines and out of Ukraine's reach. But that belief has been shattered. In January, Ukraine hit 3 Russian oil platforms in the Caspian Sea, nearly 1,000 kilometers away from the fighting. This revealed a major weakness in Putin's war funding. And it wasn't just a one-off attack, it marked the start of something bigger. A focused campaign is all about one goal: draining Russia's ability to fund this war. Ukraine has shown incredible adaptability since the full-scale invasion. And one thing is clear: when they find a strategy that works, they stick with it, they scale it up, fine-tune it, and keep at it until Russia can't ignore the costs anymore. Right now, they're zeroing in on systematic targeting. Since late 2024, Ukraine has been ramping up its focus on hitting Russian oil infrastructure, like refineries and pumping stations. Why? Well, oil is Russia's biggest money maker. Disrupting this means less revenue, delayed payments, higher insurance costs, and forces Moscow to scramble resources elsewhere. It's a smart move, right? Ukraine is shaking things up in the Caspian Sea, a place Russia thought was safe from the conflict. On January 11th, United 24 media shared that Ukrainian forces pulled off a precise drone strike on 3 Russian oil drilling platforms out there. Special operations teams hit all 3 targets: Fulanovsky, Valery Grafer, and Yuri Korygin. Pretty wild, right? Russia's energy giant, Lukoil, operates drilling platforms hundreds of kilometers from Ukraine's borders. The Ukrainian military confirmed that they targeted 3 of these platforms in the Caspian Sea in a statement on Telegram. They said this action is part of their efforts to weaken the military and economic strength of the aggressor. United 24 media reported that confirmation of SOF involvement came from a separate statement released by the unit on January 11th. Regardless of which specific branch executed the operation, the nature of the strike makes clear that a specialized Ukrainian unit was required. These platforms are not easy targets, and reaching them requires capabilities well beyond conventional battlefield drones. Satellite monitoring data adds an important layer of context. NASA's FIRM system, which tracks fires across the globe using satellite imagery, did not detect active fires at the 3 platforms following the strike. Instead, the lack of fire signatures strongly suggests that Ukrainian drones struck structural components of the platforms rather than storage tanks or hydrocarbon processing areas. Structural damage can halt operations without producing large fires, especially offshore, where safety systems are designed to suppress ignition. Geographically, the strike underscores just how far Ukraine's reach has expanded. As Euromedin Press noted in its reporting, the Caspian Sea oil platforms are located at least 950 kilometers, roughly 590 miles from Ukraine's front lines. For Ukraine to strike these platforms directly from its territory using long-range drones, those drones would need to traverse occupied Ukrainian regions and then pass deep into Russian-controlled airspace before reaching the Caspian Sea. Regardless of the method, the operation required precision, intelligence preparation, and confidence that Russian defenses would not intercept the drones. This was not the first time Ukraine had struck Russian infrastructure in the Caspian Sea region. United 24 media reported that the January 11th attack was the second confirmed drone strike on Russian Caspian infrastructure. The first occurred on December 31, 2025, when Ukraine's security service, the SBU, reported multiple direct hits on another Russian oil platform, likely using aerial drones. Video and photographic evidence from that earlier strike appears to confirm the damage. The Special Kherson and Cat X account reported that the December 31st attack also targeted the Valery Grafer platform. While January 11th marked only the second officially confirmed attack, multiple independent outlets suggest that Ukraine has conducted several additional strikes in the region that have not been publicly acknowledged. According to Euromedin Press, Ukraine has carried out approximately 5 strikes on Caspian Sea oil infrastructure in about a month. The outlet reports that what now appears to be a sustained Caspian-focused campaign began on December 11th, when Ukrainian drones reportedly hit the Fulanovsky platform, halting extraction from more than 20 wells. Subsequent strikes targeted the same platform again, followed by the Yuri Korygin platform and later the Valery Grafer platform, also known as the Rakushny field. These platforms were long assumed by Moscow to be beyond Ukraine's reach. Repeated strikes have shattered that assumption and demonstrated that Russia currently lacks an effective countermeasure. The January 11th Caspian Sea strike did not occur in isolation. It was part of a broader night of Ukrainian operations that underscored how much Ukraine's deep strike capabilities have expanded by 2026. According to the statement, Ukrainian forces carried out a fire strike against the launcher of a Buk M3 medium-range air defense system near the village of Branichov in the temporarily occupied territory of Luhansk Oblast. Preliminary data indicated direct hits and explosions. The Bu M3 is designed to engage aerodynamic targets, including aircraft and drones. If Ukraine is sending long-range drones toward the Caspian Sea, those drones must pass through areas where Russian air defenses are theoretically present. Ukraine is not going to route drones through Georgian or Azerbaijani airspace, as doing so would risk international escalation. That means Russian territory itself should provide multiple interception opportunities. Ukraine's Ministry of Finance has reported that Russia has lost approximately 1,270 anti-aircraft warfare units since the start of the war. The Bu M3 destroyed around the time of the Caspian strike adds to that total. Reporting from the New Voice of Ukraine in November 2025 highlighted the strategic consequences of these losses. The outlet stated that the majority of Russia's remaining air defenses are concentrated around Moscow and along active front lines, leaving vast portions of Russian territory exposed. Andrei Kovalino, head of Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation, was quoted as saying that most Russians are not protected at all, despite repeated promises of security from the Kremlin. Kovalino also noted shortages in Russia's key air defense systems, including S-300, S-400, and Panzer platforms. It is possible that Ukraine coordinated the January 11th Bu M3 strike with the Caspian Sea operation to further degrade Russia's ability to intercept drones. It is also possible that no additional suppression was required. Video released by Ukraine's Special Operations Forces provides limited insight. The 50-con clip shows multiple drones approaching oil platform structures before impact. Ultimately, the method matters less than the result. The platforms were hit again. At roughly the same time as the Caspian Sea strike, Ukraine also conducted a separate operation in the Kherson region. United 24 media reported that Ukrainian forces struck a logistics depot used by Russia's 49th Combined Arms Army near the settlement of Novik. As with many Ukrainian strikes, the target was a rear area facility supporting frontline operations. Taken together, these actions illustrate a consistent operational logic. Ukraine is not focusing solely on oil infrastructure. It is systematically degrading Russia's ability to sustain both its economy and its military logistics network. Energy revenue funds the war. Logistics move the weapons and troops. Ukraine is attacking both. The 3 Caspian Sea oil platforms targeted by Ukraine represent exceptionally valuable assets. The Falovsky oil field in particular is one of the largest accessible to Russia in the Caspian Sea. United 24 media reports that the field contains estimated oil reserves of approximately 129 million tons and potentially around 30 billion cubic meters of gas. In December, the Moscow Times reported that Russia was selling oil at an average price of $3,450 per barrel due to sanctions. Multiplying that figure by the estimated barrel count yields potential revenue of over $28.9 billion from oil alone. Even a fraction of that sum is significant in the context of a prolonged war of attrition. Gas revenues add another layer. In April 2024, the Kyiv Independent cited Bloomberg reporting that Russia was selling gas to China for $257 per 1,000 cub-m. The other two platforms offer similarly compelling incentives. United 24 media reports that the Yuri Kordigin field contains an estimated 77.88 million tons of oil and approximately 1.2 billion cubic meters of gas. Euromaidan Press reports that the Valery Grafer field has recoverable reserves of approximately 21.16 million tons of oil and around 33 billion cub-m of gas. Combined, the 3 platforms represent tens of billions of dollars in potential revenue. Ukraine cannot destroy the oil and gas underground. What it can do is disrupt the infrastructure required to extract and monetize those resources. Every delay, repair, and shutdown deprives Russia of funds that would otherwise flow into the Kremlin's war budget. Beyond economics, Ukraine's Caspian Sea campaign has broader geopolitical. Russia has always seen the Caspian Sea as a key asset. In 2024, the Jamestown Foundation pointed out how crucial the Caspian oil and gas fields are for Europe's energy security. Even though Russia usually thinks of these resources as less important than its Arctic and Siberian ones, it gets their geopolitical significance. By controlling Caspian energy flows, Moscow can limit other supply routes to Europe and keep its grip on energy-dependent countries. Russian policymakers are really worried about Caspian states stepping up as major energy suppliers to the EU. This shift could totally weaken Russia's grip and boost ties between Europe and Moscow's rivals. Reports from the maritime executive say Russia's influence in the Caspian was already fading even before the Ukraine conflict kicked off. Plus, the Caspian Sea is a crucial route for sending weapons to Russia, including Iranian missiles, drones, and ammo. A recent shipment reportedly included 220 FADA-360 ballistic missiles. Ukraine has already shown it can hit warships and Shadow Fleet vessels, so this Caspian Sea campaign sends a clear message: Russian shipping isn't safe. Plus, tensions between Russia and Kazakhstan are rising. At the June 2020 St. Petersburg Economic Forum, Kazakhstan's president, Kassym-Jomart openly refused to recognize Russia's annexation of Donetsk and Luhansk. Kazakhstan has made it clear they won't send troops to fight in Ukraine and will stick to Western sanctions on Russian oil. These remarks, made alongside Putin, highlight the changing dynamics. Among the Caspian Five, Ukraine's goal is straightforward: disrupt oil production, delay revenue, and weaken Russia's war funding. In the long run, Ukraine is working to undermine Russia's strategic position in the region. Moscow is in a tough spot. The January 11th strikes aren't just a one-off. They show that Ukraine has found a new weak spot and is ready to hit it again and again. The Caspian Sea used to seem out of reach for Ukraine, but not anymore. Russia's war economy relies heavily on oil, and Ukraine has turned that into a real problem for them.